I'd like to welcome Frank Conroy. Frank, an old neighbour of mine, of course, from Hill Street. And we're going to talk about the Democrat office. Now, the Democrat office is still there, but it's a wee restaurant called Reeva's at the moment. But, Frank, the Democrat was the office, and the printers was very much like an awful lot of other places in town, particularly like McArdle Moors, where if your father was in it, you would get in it. Did that happen all the time? How did you get into it?
Well, actually, I served my time in McGowan's on the ramparts, and then after that I went to work in the Drogheda Independent, and then my father retired from the Democrat, and I decided I would like to come back to the town. So I approached Mr. Rowe, who was the owner, and I got into the Democrat because I was kind of fed up travelling up and down to Drogheda. So that's how I got into it. And as you say, it was a family business. My father worked in it, my cousin Jean Conroy worked in it, and then I came into it. And between the three of us, I think we might have actually worked. Between the three of us, we was 150 years between the three of us. So you were right in a way. It was a sort of a family tradition, like the breweries.
Now, of course, it was the only local paper at that time, or was it? Was the Examiner still around at that time?
I think the Examiner might have finished in the 50s or 60s, but the Democrat was the main paper. Yeah.
And it was going back now, or looking back now, Frank, and the way the printing is done, we'll go through it in more detail in a minute, but it's all done by computers in 5 minutes now. Yeah. But what would happen? It came out of a Saturday, Frank, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a Saturday paper. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the workers had approached Mr. Rowe. The paper was finished, was printed on a Friday night. And some of us actually asked Mr. Rowe, would he not take the paper out on a Friday night, and maybe it could make a lot of money by coming out on a Friday night. Would hit the pubs? No, tradition is tradition. No way would it come out on a Friday night. It was a Saturday paper, and that's it.
He was a man of tradition and a man that ruled the roost down there, didn't he? He
was the boss. I would say he was not a Fergal Quinn, put it that way. You worked for him, and that was it. You worked. There was no incentives as such. He was the boss.
Gerry Gover, yes. And Gerry's going to talk to me for a while today about something that in the 40s and 50s, it was this particular thing we're going to talk about. I suppose you could say it was our life, and it was. There were so many of these in the town. At quizzes, it's one of the big questions. How many of these was in Dundalk? And, of course, cinema. Gerry, thank you very much indeed for coming in and talking to me.
No bother, Harry. Look forward to the conversation with you. Cinema, I think there was 5 or 6 cinemas at one time.
Was that the most that was now, Gerry? The only thing is now I'm very disappointed for the start, Gerry, because I thought you'd be saying picture houses, because that's what we knew them, wasn't it, Gerry?
That's right. Something similar. Like now, someone said, "Did you see the Western on TG Carroll last night?" We never called the West our cowboys, and I still said, because you're looking at, I'm looking at a cowboy. What's a cowboy? So that's true, Harry, you're quite right. Yeah. It would always be the pictures for us.
Yeah, and Gerry, there was some of them where there was pictures that were, shall we say, official picture houses, and then there was halls then that opened up. So just tell me, go through them, your memory of how many. I know you will be able to tell me anyway.
Well, the main two, Harry, was the Magnet and the Adelphi. Then there was the parish ran the Magnet and owned the hall, still has, I think. And then the Open St. Nicholas Hall, which is another parish hall. That was 2. Park Street would be 3rd, Park Street Cinema. And the late Philly Morgan was the projectionist there, Philly, from up where you live, Harry, had Philly. And then the Dominican Hall opened. And then, of course, Gerry Doyle had the Oriel in Market Street. So that's how many, 6, is it?
Yeah. No, it is 5.
5.
Yeah. Now, Gerry, the funny thing is that everyone forgets about one of them. If you're in quizzes or anything, there's always one, and the one, of course, would be the Oriole. Yeah. Now, I have to say, Gerry, I was at the Oriole for different things, but I don't think I ever went to it to see a picture.
The Oriole was very funny, Harry. It was all on the flat. And the screen was practically just a baby head high, no more. The last bit of the Oriole was the toilets were on the left-hand side of the screen. And you walked across to go to the toilet. The beam, you hit your head and you could flash on the screen. And if you didn't close the door behind you, everybody could hear you doing your pee.
Joan Brady. And Joan, of course, I've interviewed her on the radio many, many times about loads of different things, about marathons, keep fit, radios, women's rights, you name it, I've interviewed her about. But Joan, I'm going to talk to you this morning about something completely different.
Hello, Harry. How are you? And lovely to meet you again.
And Joan, this is something that you were involved with from the very beginning, and it had great effect on Ireland, North and South, which we tell people now in a second what it's about. But it had a great effect that it opened up people from Dundalk, or from the Republic, going up to the north, and from the north coming down to Dundalk. Of course, it is, or down to the south. It is called, of course, the Peace Train.
Even relations would say to you, I don't really go up to the north. There was that thing about it. You didn't go up to do your shopping. Then, of course, everything changed over the years. I was listening to reports on BBC, and I suddenly realised, this is dreadful. This is only down or up the road, all the fighting, the killing and whatnot. So I rang up Bride Rosny, who later became a special advisor to Mary Robinson, our President Mary Robinson, a wonderful lady who's involved with lots of things. I think she worked in RTE, and she's also involved with Interests with the Blind. And I said to her, I'm just an ordinary housewife, but I feel dreadful. Is there anything we can do? So she referred me to Women Together. And Pat Campbell there coerced me into joining Women Together, go up to the north and listen to what they say, to inform us here in the south that the ordinary everyday people are our friends, but spoiled by bigger issues.
And Joan, the Women Together, was that, what kind of an organisation was that?
That was for ordinary women to come together and say, let's stand up as women and have our viewpoints made, because we don't want this going on. And it was a very, very balanced, even little organisation, and they became my friends over the years. And Pat Campbell might be remembered for having all sorts of things that happened, members of the family and that, no more than anybody else. And she was a wonderful lady, and lots of people like that. So in turn then, she had introduced me to the Ashgrove Community Centre in Portadown, and that's where my story really began, because we were with real people talking about real things. We also were with them for fun, for information.
All about the troubles.
All about the troubles. But sometimes I'd be talking to a nice lady and she might tell me that her son had gone down a wrong road, and then I'd be talking to the lady beside her, and they'd both been very friendly with each other, saying, well, my son was okay, but I was a bit worried about him. And so they were
Listen to the full interview on www.gatheringheritage.com.